3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Good morning, good people. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live on this Monday. We're streaming live on YouTube. And of course, I am your host, Will Skywalker. Still, boom! You see it. We're picking up our State of the Unit series as we're, merely 3 days away? 3 days away from the very first Cowboys training camp practice. And this unit is probably the unit that we need to keep our eyes on the most. It probably is the unit that has the most pressure upon it in the 2024 season. We're going to talk about all of that, breaking it down for the first time all offseason. We've been kind of dancing around it. We've been talking about it a little bit, but we're going to break down each and every player in that room today in our State of the Unit. What's good, Bomb Squad? How we doing?
Bomb Squad!
How are we as, hey man, like I said, a couple days out till we get our first training camp practice. And like I said, we got a couple different things lined up this week. So excited to get this thing going because we need it. We need a Cowboys Nation. We need football. It's too much nonsense that's been going on throughout this off season. And now you can't hide behind the nonsense. We talk ball, right? And usually I'll start off the show with maybe a little bit of it in the roundup. Like you keep hearing about the contract, but I'm exhausted with that. You know, one day it's this player, the next day it's that player. One day it's, well, he's a priority. Next day, well, no, he's a priority. It's all nonsense to me. They're all priorities. They all need to get done so we can get into camp and get this thing rolling. So until something new legitimately pops up, I'm over it. I'm over at Cowboys Nation. We'll talk about it when there is real things to talk about, like there is today, and that's the defensive tackle position. But what's up with y'all? It's Monday. We are back at a full slate, and couldn't be more excited to rap to y'all and talk to y'all. And if you want, you can call into the show. It's been a while. 351-999-37. Voice still not there yet. 351-999-3787 is the call-in line to talk to your boy and Cowboys Nation. So let's just jump right into this thing. The other day, I was on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, and I saw this tweet from our guy, Brian Broaddus. It's an encouraging nugget, honestly, right? He's hearing from those in the know, meaning Todd Archer, who's pretty close to the team, right? If Todd Archer says something, probably should pay attention a little bit. But Broaddus was on Twitter and he said, talking with Todd Archer, he felt they were still looking at defensive tackles here before camp. And that is him responding to someone else's tweet who said, what's your gut feeling on this team adding any free agents or potential trades before the season starts? That is, without a shadow of a doubt, the number one position that the Cowboys need to add before camp or heading into camp. Now, interesting, he said they're still looking at DTs here before camp. Well, camp's in 3 days. So I don't really believe they'll add anybody before camp. But just the fact that whether you believe it's coming from inside the building or around the building or whispers, like I said, if Todd Archer is saying that, that means that it's being talked about. My only issue with this, or I shouldn't even say only, my big issue with this is what changed, y'all? Don't need another boom. But what changed from February of 2024 and July to 2020? Nothing, right? Like our should say this. What was the difference in February of 2024 and July? Nothing. So I think that urgency, right? If you like, again, the tweet, the urgency of them feeling like they need to add a DT before camp should have been there in March. I would love. Again, this is where, put me in the room. I ask these questions. I would love to ask McCarthy, even though I know McCarthy don't control this, but I would love to ask McCarthy or Will, Steven, what is the thought process here? Because I don't know that you can legitimately give me an answer that makes any sense. Besides, hey dog, we just want to be cheap. That's all. I mean, that makes sense. If you said we just want to be cheap and they're keeping it a bean, then cool. But nothing else makes sense to me, because when you go look at the room, you damn skippy. They should be looking at the defensive tackle situation and trying to add somebody before camp. So let's go ahead and do that and look at the room. And like we normally do here with the state of the unit, we start at the bottom of the roster and work our way up. And yes, Carl Davis is a veteran, and hell, Carl Davis may be above a couple of these other young bucks, but Carl Davis is a 32-year-old journeyman who was signed by the Cowboys in November, ended up playing 3 games, 30 snaps in total. 24 of them was against the run, and y'all, Carl Davis was not good. And that's being as nice as possible. Carl Davis looked terrible. Now, you can attribute that to Dan Quinn's defense. You can say, the linebacker play, whatever you want to say. He just wasn't good. But apparently he was good enough to bring back. They signed him in March to basically a 1-year type of deal, vet minimum type of situation. And when you look at him, theoretically, he should fit. Right? 6'5", what is he, like 330 plus? He should fit. But in reality, he's a journeyman. This is his 7th team. He was not good last year. He made 1 play, and that was it. Now, could Carl Davis benefit from a scheme change, Cowboys Nation? Possibly. I'm never going to write off a player getting better. How much better is really what matters, right? But his presence shouldn't have stopped you from adding a defensive tackle earlier in a draft or in free agency, and it shouldn't right now. And according to Broadus and Archer, very possible that they will add someone. I hope, here's what I hope. I hope when they were looking at this defensive tackle situation in the draft and in free agency, they didn't say, we signed Carl Davis, so we're good. Nah, as my guy would say. If I can find it, which I can't. But y'all get the point. Where is my nah, by the way? Did I take that out? There you go. Nah. So, I mean, are there any Carl Davis fans here? I don't mean to shatter your dreams here, but if he makes this team, there's a problem. I'd much rather a Denzel Jackson get the nod. Jackson's interesting because he technically could be in the international pathway program. Right? He could be this year's version of Isaac Alacon, who ended up partaking in that program for like 3 years. If he doesn't make the roster now, he'll have to be terrible. He'll have to be really bad not to do it because this room is so thin. But that's because he was born in the Bahamas. He somehow, some way fits that pathway program, even though he played college football here in the States for a number of years. Ohio transferred to Illinois, and he played that second round pick, Johnny Newton, who went to, by the way, the Washington Football People and Dan Quinn. Now, he did a lot of the dirty work there for Johnny Newton. And when we broke him down before, he was one of those players where he was like, hey, look, you need a dirty work type player like this. He's not a guy, in my opinion, I saw on film that plays on the other side of the line of scrimmage. When I'm talking about playmakers at the defense line, specifically the interior, does that player play on the other side? Whether it be strength, whether it be because of quickness, whether it be making plays back there. I don't see that. But I think he's very savvy around it, right? Knows how to use his leverage, his strength, has a motor down the line of scrimmage, so he can play at the line of scrimmage. He can compete there. I will be interested to see how he holds up against NFL level double teams though, and designs, because they're getting a lot more unique in how to take away the interior in today's day and age. But he, without a shadow of a doubt, is going to be a player that plays pissed off and does a lot of the dirty work. So he's got the mentality. I think he's got the stature. If you look, it's weird because when you look at Denzel Jackson, what is he? Is he 305, 310, 320? The Illini list him at 320. Brugel listed him at 304. The Cowboys listed him at 304. He looks like he's at least 310. So where is he playing at? It may not matter to many, but to me, if he's a 300 to 305 pound defensive lineman, that's an average size 3-tech. If he's 320 plus, I'll even say 315. Now we're talking more modern day, 1-tech type of guys, and the Cowboys need nose tackles. He played nose tackle at Illinois, so he knows how to play that responsibility. But can he hold up against NFL level double teams, all pro guards, right, and centers and things like that week in, week out? I personally don't want to put that pressure on a Denzel Jackson or Justin Rogers for that matter, because it's not fair to an undrafted free agent or a 7th round rookie to have to be the guy that holds it down at that position. The Cowboys front office should have aided these young guys by bringing in a veteran, in my opinion. That room's young. That room doesn't have a Jonathan Hankins at the very least, right? Where you can argue how productive he was for the Cowboys. I think Hankins was very important to this team, but now that we know how they were being played, you could also argue he still didn't even fit the Dan Quinn situation. Quinn had these guys attacking upfield. Yes, even Hank a lot. And it just didn't make any sense. So there's no Hankins in this room. Carl Davis, exclude him. The Cowboys need to go out and get a Hankins, in my opinion, just so that they can help out these young guys at the very least heading into the season. You don't want the blind leading the blind. Yes, Osa's there, but he's also a dude still trying to climb and scrap and fight his way to the top of the positional ranks in the league as well. But like I was saying, as we wrap up the bottom of the roster here, I'd much rather see a Denzel Jackson get these snaps over a Carl Davis. Same thing for Justin Rogers. Dallas decided to wait until the 7th round to address this position. A little frustrating for me because this was a top 3 need going into the draft for me, and you waited till the 7th round. Maybe they're trying to strike lightning in a bottle again. You remember long time ago, long time ago, 2005, 7th round pick, Auburn. Ended up being a multi-time Pro Bowler, All-Pro, got the bag for the Cowboys, and really started showing his impact pretty quickly. Now, as he really took that next step, I think it was under Wade Phillips as an undersized 3-tech or nose tackle. And we're talking about Jay Ratliff, right? Jay Ratliff was a 7th round pick out of that historic draft class in 2005. I hope, they're not looking at that, because here's the interesting thing. Broadus always brings this up, and I find it fascinating and really a detriment to how they do these things. But when Jerry is in the room and you're trying to persuade Jerry on taking a player, you have to remind him of somebody. It would not shock me if somebody said, hey, man, last time we took a 7th round defensive tackle out of Auburn, remember Jay Ratliff, Jerry? Oh, yeah, Jay let's bring him in. I'm hoping that's not what happened. I'm hoping they legitimately did their homework and said, okay, this guy can do X, Y, Z for you. He spoke at, I believe it was rookie minicamp, and this is what he said when it came to his role.
Obviously, the Cowboys had trouble stopping the run. How can you help them? Is that your forte?
That's what I do best. Stop the run, especially clogging the middle up So that's why they brought me in here.
Is it a mindset? What is that?
You just gotta have that mindset. You just gotta have that switch when you out there on that field. You gotta make sure nobody ain't running through that middle.
I mean, love the mindset for sure. The player, though, on the field, he's the purest definition of trash can full of dirt. Just give me a big old 320 pound. He don't got to be athletic. Just put him right in the middle of the defense and just clog up the lane. That is Justin Rogers. You're not going to see a whole bunch of athletic type of plays. In my opinion, he's going to firmly plant himself right in front of the center and be a nuisance in moving, be a nuisance in dealing with double teams and trying to push the pocket. I absolutely love his skill set against teams that are going to try to play power against the Cowboys in Mike Zimmer's defense. He is a Mike Zimmer fit for that. Where I'll be keeping my eyes on him, and I don't know if we'll see a lot of it in camp, maybe preseason, because we don't run this style of offense, is zone offense. When teams decide to attack the Cowboys like the San Francisco 49ers do, or the Dolphins would, or how the Buffalo Bills do, how the Ravens will. I mean, we can go look at the schedule, by the way. We'll be talking about that this week. I'm going to be interested to see how he responds because he's not that type of athlete. I think he can be reached. Yes, he plays with a motor, but you can play your ass off. But if you physically don't have the ability to get down the line of scrimmage, down in, down out, that's just not your game. And it's not his game. He's not going to wow you with what he does from an athletic standpoint. He's just going to be a strong, stout player in the middle, heavy feet, and just sink his feet in the dirt. That's going to be Justin Rogers. And when you look at the room, you look at him being the 7th round pick, it would not shock me if Justin Rogers ends up finishing this team, in the top 3 or 4 out of the rookies in snaps played. Wouldn't shock me. When you go look at how many picks was it, y'all? 8 draft picks. Guyton, I think, will be 1. I'm hoping BB to be the other. Nealon and then Rogers, I think, will be the guys who will probably fight for that 3rd spot if hopefully BB and Guyton are starting. But don't be surprised. And it's because the room, is thin, like we talked about. So these are kind of your down roster guys. I happen to look over. And did I see Fehoko's name pop up? If I'm not mistaken, we talked about Junior Fehoko in the defensive end room. We talked about Junior in the defensive end room. There is a player on here that is a versatile type of cat, but most of these guys are going to be your pure defensive tackle. So Carl Davis, Denzel Daxon, Justin Rogers are your down roster tackles. I would say a downgrade from what the Cowboys rolled out there previously, even under a Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn, might have not gotten the best out of a lot of these guys, but, Brent Urban at one point when he was here, when Hankins was a backup at one point, now your backups are those guys in a sense. Wait a minute, might be a starter out of the bunch. We'll get to that in a little bit. But out of those 3, for me, Cowboys Nation, Justin Rogers has the best chance to elevate himself from the room. For a number of different reasons, whether you want to say politics because he's a draft pick or not. But if you had to pick one of these 3 to maybe separate themselves here, who do you have here? Carl Davis, the journeyman vet, 32-year-old guy, fits the mold from a physical stature, or Denzel Daxon and Justin Rogers, the rookie, 7th round pick, 1 undrafted free agent out of Illinois, who played that kind of dirty role at Illinois. I've got Justin Rogers. I think, 1'6'2", 320. He is the nose tackle, who's going to deal with the double teams. I think has the physical stature to do it. Roy says, Daxon, why the hype for this guy? Just look at his film, big downgrade. So I often do this here, Roy. I'm not sure how new you are. Who's hyping him? who's hyping him. I have to bring this up a lot because we cover the team. I cover the team here. So this is called a State of the Unit. So we're going to talk about each player. I don't think you heard me hyping up any of these guys, but we're going to talk about them. Now, if you're talking about other creators or media hyping Daxon, point me to the direction and I'll take a look at it. But I don't know that I've seen a whole bunch of hype from anybody in this room this year. I could be wrong. Maybe you've read something, you've been listening to others, and they've hyped up a Denzel Daxon. Not quite sure, but when it comes to 7th round rookies and undrafted rookies, I'm of the ilk. Hey, we gotta get them out the camp, y'all. Let's go see what these dudes are looking like, and then I'll gladly hype them up if there's anything worthy to hype up, sure. But I just sat there and broke it down to you when it came to Daxon. He's not a guy that plays on the other side of the line of scrimmage to me. He's a motor guy that is savvy around the line of scrimmage. I just didn't see that type of player just yet, but he fits this defense though. Let's see when we get out there at camp. That's facts, Devin. He said, ain't no hype. We just got no depth. We don't. So you're saying me and Laws, Roy, are you? There's no way in hell, Roy, you are listening with your 2 ears that are attached to your head. There's just no way. Chat, am I crazy? You know, everybody else that has ears attached to their head, are you hearing hype? I don't get it, you know, but this is the Cowboys fan base, half of them, man. Running film don't mean hype. Nah, brother, not at all, Kelvin. Not at all, man. We're talking and breaking down said players. Yeah, Smoke said nobody's hyping him. We're saying he has size. He's one of them. Why say a failure, really? Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to eliminate any of these players from getting better. That's what rookies are supposed to be doing. Carl Davis, we'll see, maybe a scheme change. But when you look at the depth of this defensive tackle room, this is your depth. To me, it's concerning. Damn right, special. Nah, AG, when we put on that do-rag, the do-rag might come out this week, a little bit later. Vosh gonna be on, me and Vosh gonna kick it. Hopefully we'll get a round table before camp is out. You'll definitely get a do-rag. 100%. All right, now let's move on to the top 3 guys here. But are you seeing already, right? The Cowboys have legitimately 6 defensive tackles. DT4 is going to be a rookie, or it's going to be a journeyman guy. Now, DT4 from all teams may not be a good DT. So, but when you look at the depth, man, to me, it is concerning. But the reason why it's concerning is because when you look at the top of this unit, and that's not the top. There we go. When you look at the top of this unit, there still lies a ton of question marks and concerns. Now, help me out with this one here. Chauncey Golston. Cowboys Nation, we were talking about Chauncey Golston, and I was so excited. I was like, hey, man, they're about to move Chauncey to defensive end. He fits the mold. He's a prototypical Mike Zimmer defensive end. Then you talk to people. We've had multiple people on the show that have been at mini camp practices, that have been at whatever it is down there, OTAs, all that. And you just hear the same thing. Hey, Chauncey Golston is doing defensive tackle things. Chauncey Golston, yeah, he's doing defensive end things, but he's also inside a lot. So I had to include him here. Because when you, again, look how thin the room is, if he's playing defensive tackle, you almost now need him to be inside, which I have mixed feelings about. Mixed feelings about that. Now, pass rush, Golston, when he's moved inside, he did some damage in that NASCAR package as a 3-tech. He was one of your more productive pass rushers. Go look at all the metrics and even the film, right? He had a better pass rush win rate than a Sam Williams. last year, no matter where they played. So there is usage for Chauncey Golston at defensive tackle on passing plays. But let's be real. When we're talking about this unit, when we're breaking down this unit, we're talking about run defense. And if you look at a Chauncey Golston, this is going to sound weird, but against the run at that position, there's concerns for me. Now, Chauncey Golston against the run as a defensive end, that's different. Again, he fits that mold. He's much more. Nah, I'm not gonna throw that name out there. That's not what they're. But he's more of was a run guy coming out of college when he was at Iowa, and he gets here and they kind of give him the not Carl Crawford, it's Carl Davis, the Tyrone Crawford treatment. Hey, this year we want you to play in and moonlight inside. Next year, put on some weight and we're gonna play more defensive tackle and moonlight at end. Third year, we're gonna keep you at defensive end, but do some defensive tackle. That little snip snap stuff. It's not good for a player, in my opinion. But it also isn't praise for the player, because that means he can't find a home anywhere. And Chauncey Golston cannot find a home here in Dallas. Maybe he can go somewhere else. Maybe Bill Belichick ain't in the league no more. But maybe Bill would have found a way to utilize Chauncey Golston. But this year, if he's going to be defensive tackle, that's super light, man. And I can't really see Golston playing early downs at defensive tackle. Golston will be another NASCAR guy you throw out there at defensive tackle. And if that's the case, that makes this room that much lighter. Literally and figuratively speaking, right? Literally because Chauncey goes like 270. And figuratively speaking, because when it comes to defending the run, I can't count Chauncey Golston as that guy on the inside. So now you really start looking at this room and you're like, you got what? 5 legitimate, real defensive tackles? And one of them is the most undersized defensive tackle that Mike Zimmer has ever had in his life. Before I move on to that, Smoke says, so Sky, tell me this. Why are they not sliding our expensive DE in D-Law? Are you saying why are they not sliding him inside? Since all he does is stop the run anyways, use the DEs like DEs. If it was only that simple. Like, how can I put this here? So DeMarcus Lawrence is one of the best run defensive ends. Right? Run defensive ends. I don't think DeMarcus Lawrence would be one of the best run defensive tackles at 6'4", 260 pounds. You know what I mean? That's a whole different ball game. Now you're dealing with center guard combinations as opposed to being left on an island and doing something that you've built, 8 years of expertise. As my guy Vach would say, you've got a black belt at defending the run at defensive end. He has a black belt at rushing the passer at defensive tackle on NASCAR packages. But I think it's a different ball game if you're asking him to be DT, a legitimate 3-tech full time. Like he's not built that way. So that would be my answer to that. Is it's a different ball game when you're asking somebody who's done 8-9 years, whatever it is in this league, perfecting it at a position, then to move inside, now become a extremely undersized 3-tech. Also, yes, he may not be the pass rusher he once was, but I think he is still much better pass rusher than a Chauncey Golston, right? I'm just using him as an example because we're talking about moving guys inside. So again, you take him out of that situation. Now that room suffers. There's domino effects to these things. Maybe, we'll see what happens with Marshawn Nealon. Maybe Marshawn Nealon and Sam Williams now, that'll help with that depth situation there. But there's a domino effect if you do it, is all I'm saying. I think he's a great defensive end at defending the run. I don't think he'd be that at defensive tackle. But I get what you're saying, Smoke, 100%. Now, Osa. That's the guy I was talking about who is one of the most undersized. I think he is not one of, when I was doing research. Remember the Fat Boys research? The lightest defensive tackle I saw Mike Zimmer have on his roster from dating all the way back from Cincinnati, I think, was 285 pounds. It was something Johnson. Osa's a 280 pound. He was already undersized as a 3 tech. Now you get this scheme. I'm really interested to see how this works. When it comes to undersized and it wearing down on a player, people want to make Micah Parsons the face of this. And that might have been a point in 2022. I would disagree in 2023. That doesn't mean that it can't happen. I just don't think he was as worn down as a lot of people are trying to make it to believe. And I'm talking about Micah. Osa is the face of that when it comes to this team. But he's not Micah, right? He's not the, all-world defender. He's kind of just, let's just be real. He's kind of in the middle of the pack on the defense. So no one really cares. But he is the prototype of a guy that's wearing down throughout the season because of his size. And I love Osa. But the proof is in the pudding. Proof is in the pudding when you watch him. The proof is in the pudding in his production. His first 8 weeks comes out the gates flying, right? Specifically the first 2 games where he had like 3 sacks. But the first 8 weeks, he only had 2 games where he finished with 1 tackle or less. 2. The final 10 weeks, that happened 8 times. 8 times. He was just not making an impact from a tackle standpoint. And look, I think getting tackles at or beyond the line of scrimmage is a little different, or getting tackles in general for defensive linemen, way a little bit heavier than linebackers. Linebackers get 190 tackles and 150 of them is 10 yards downfield. It doesn't matter. But when Osa was making tackles, his average tackle per depth was like 1 yard. So when he was doing it and making an impact, but then it stopped happening. Now, that's not to diminish who he is as a player. Again, I love the player's skill set. I think he possesses an ability that the Cowboys can use, especially in the pass rush department. But they have nobody to help this guy to keep him fresher throughout the season. Osa gets worn down. And this is the messed up part. When he's getting worn down throughout the season, his snaps are increasing. Now tell me, does that make sense? Now I get it. We ain't have a lot of bodies in there. But that makes no sense to me, Dan. Also played like 60% of the snaps. No other defensive tackle played more than 32. Let's go a little deeper here. I had to really write these down and say, is this real life? So the first 8 weeks where Osa is fresh and he's better than he ever is, he played 55% of the snaps. So about half of the snaps. Yeah, some blowouts. It happens. The last 8 weeks, including the postseason game, Osa played 68% of the snaps. We're talking almost 70% of the snaps to an undersized defensive tackle who is wearing down throughout the season. His snaps were increasing, not decreasing, not leveling off, increasing. He ended up playing something along the lines of 70, 71, and 75 snaps 3 consecutive weeks. That can't happen. Unfortunately, it might happen again. And that's why I have concerns. Like, y'all know, I had excitement about Osa heading into last season because I thought he was exactly what Dan Quinn wanted, an attacking up the field 3-tech guy. My excitement at this time last year, he was one of my breakout players, things like that. Didn't happen. Wrong on that. He's one of my breakout players. The excitement is flipped. It's not because I don't believe in this guy as a talent. Believe in his work ethic. I think it was the British coach who said he's becoming one of those leader types. I wonder how he fits. How does a 280-pound defensive tackle fit in a scheme where they're going to ask you to take up blocks, deal with double teams all day? Means you're going to get worn down a lot faster. And then doing so in a room where you don't got a lot of depth. So I'm really on the other side of this thing, where last year I'm like, hey man, Osa has a chance to get an extension and all that. I thought he could be one of those cheap kind of Dorrance Armstrong, type of contracts. Maybe he could be, but I question the fit. I do. And now he was out with the injury. They were just being cautious in mini camp. I expect him to return and be ready to go. And he's going to be the leader in this room. He's the elder statesman of this room. Carl Davis, not right. He's the guy, and he's going to try to lead these guys. But it's very similar, and I always use this example, to when they got rid of the veteran in Amari and said, hey, CD, you're the guy now. You're going to have to lead this room. And see, hey, I'm still trying to figure out how to be the guy. I'm still climbing the ladder. I think Osa's in a very similar situation where Osa is the most accomplished, is the most talented guy in the room. I don't know about fit. And they're asking him to lead it. So where are y'all at with Osa? Because it hurts saying this about him, because I thought this could have been one of those core 4 types up front. I question that now. And I wonder if they're setting him up for failure. Well, wonder if they're setting him up for failure. Coaching matters. Smoke 100%. Said he wore him out and he did not have a replacement in most games. We're getting the depth finally, but man, give these dudes a chance. Not all DTs come in rolling. Oh, you think the Cowboys got depth? Now that is interesting, Smoke. We're getting the depth. That's where I would disagree. I don't think the Cowboys have depth at all. And here's why: they barely have starters. Right? So we'll see. I mean, I would like to think just Zim and Skanina are going to help out Osa, but the fit is where I say, let me wait. Let's see what happens here, because where he excelled under Q, they're not going to ask him to do. It's not going to happen. But that's interesting. I would be curious to know what, when you say depth, who exactly? Let's round this thing out talking about the most controversial pick maybe since Taco and Mozzie Smith. Here's one thing I know, and 2 things for sure, all right, about Mozzie. Mozzie was drafted to do one thing, and he was asked to do another. I'm not going to talk about training. I'm not going to talk about his weight. I'm not going to talk about that. Just purely what they were asking Mozzie Smith to do, I don't think was what he was expecting coming out. Mind you, y'all, this is a position that already takes time to develop. You can't just, a lot of these guys don't come in here and they're automatically all pros and all world or even productive early, unless you're all world type talents. And I don't know that Mozzie was an all world type talent, hence why he was a back half of the first round, early second round type of player. This isn't Jalen Carter. But I think because they didn't lean into his strengths and they asked him to essentially revamp his game early, I think that played a large part in why you saw a really sloppy player. Let's just be real. Mozzie was sloppy. Shouts out to our guy, James Foster. He did an amazing, he's our film guy. He did an amazing breakdown, very detailed, in-depth breakdown. I suggest you guys go check that out on Mozzie Smith. And, you come away from that and you really see just on the field, all right? I'm not talking about the mental aspect of it, just talking about the player on the field, which obviously the mental aspect plays a part in it. But you saw an extremely sloppy player. You saw bad hands, you saw bad feet, you saw bad play strength, bad awareness. More often than not, you just saw a guy who was not ready to be out there a lot. Now, he flashed. You saw some of that ridiculous strength from time to time, but this position is so much about nuance as well. Hankins said it best at training camp, where he sat down with Nick Eatman. He said, "Oh, who's the strongest player?" Right? And Nick asked him, "Who's the strongest player?" He said, "Oh, Mozzie's the strongest player in the weight room. Easy. There's no doubt about it. There's no question. You could ask anybody, Mozzie Smith." But he said, "I think I'm the strongest player on the field because I know how to use my strength." And that's why I said I think this position is about nuance. How do I use my dominant hand? How do I use my height to see over, because Hankins was a bit stronger? How do I displace and get in the backfield? And he does that. He has a really good play against the Rams doing that, but not all the time. How do I handle the double, right? Am I aware to know when the double is coming? Can I get down the line of scrimmage without getting reached? You can be big, fast, strong. If the small parts of the game aren't there, you'll see a lot of this, right? And again, it's a position that obviously takes time. And then when you put on top of it, they're asking him to do what now? Get upfield? Play 3-tech? Revamp who he is? Yeah, you're probably going to have a season like that. And both Zim and Skanina, you could tell these guys on the same page. They said, "Hey, we're going to go back to basics here, okay? He's not going to be doing the things that they asked him to do last year." I'll let you guys listen for yourself.
Well, obviously he was a high draft pick, and I heard that he kind of struggled a little bit last year. So, we're going to start with the basics, get him in a good stance, get him in, using his hands the right way, getting his footwork the right way, and then kind of go from there. I talked to him a little bit, I guess it was yesterday, and he said, I asked him what weight he feel comfortable at, and so we got to get him to that point first, and then, get his strength back, and then, we'll let him go out here on the field, and, we anticipate that he's going to be a good player like he was in college, but, that's how we have to go. Well, that's kind of what he did in college. He lost a lot of weight when he got here, and he was trying to be a attacking 3 technique to get up the field, and we're going to probably play blocks a little bit more than that, try not to get reached so linebackers know where they're supposed to fit and so on and so forth. So, I guess that's the biggest thing.
Well, I think he's going to be able to play blocks more than just getting upfield, all right? Not disrespecting the previous coaches that were here or anything. It's just different system, different style of D-line play that, Coach Zim's brought in, So I think it suits him better. Instead of just running upfield, he's going to play blocks. He's going to grind blocks and double teams and all that stuff, especially in the run game.
So his get-off philosophy is going to be different.
Yeah, especially at the nose tackle position. Yes, it is.
I can listen to Jeff Skanita. Hey, Coach Z be like, "The you mean, man?" Boy, I know they happy they ain't got to talk to that man a lot. Oh, I know they happy. All them weird questions, Jeff ain't with it. But no, in all seriousness, by default, Mozzie should be better. Again, as I've said all off season, how much? That's what really matters. Because Mozzie was a very sloppy and, to be real, bad football player last year. I don't think all of it is contributed to him, but there were confidence issues, there were mental issues that played a factor in not only him losing weight, but his play on the field. And what I didn't show there, and we talked about it months ago, was his weight goal they have talked about, right? Mozzie was under 300 pounds last year at one point in the season. He's up to about 305 now, and they have a weight goal that they refuse to put out there. And if you look at Mozzie a little bit, you can see him putting a little bit weight back on for sure. But what he was brought in here to do last year, which was stop the run, he didn't. When Mozzie was on the field, teams ran for almost 5 yards per carry. When Mozzie was off the field, that went down to 4.4. Now, that still is not good, but that just goes to show you he just wasn't what you needed him to be in year one. Year two, Mike Zimmer. If you're looking for any type of encouragement from Mozzie, right, in regards to listening to him, this is a guy that doesn't say a whole lot, a man of few words. He sat down with Nicole, right, and Wasn't a lot. Didn't even. It was like 13 seconds of a clip, but it was profound to me because we haven't heard him speak about getting a Mike Zimmer. But this is what Mozzie Smith had to say when he asked him about Mike Zimmer's defense.
What's it been like learning from Mike Zimmer, your new defensive coordinator?
It's a familiar defense. A very familiar defense. I know what needs to be done.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
straight to the point, straight like that.
Yeah.
You're not going to get a whole lot out of Mozzie, okay? But if I could take anything away from that positively, right, is that you can tell in so few words. Last year, he was playing, obviously, in a defense he was not familiar with. He was asked to do some things he was not familiar. And that's not some conspiracy theory, contrary to what some reporters were trying to say and capping for Dan Quinn last year. I saw some reporters talk about, they asked Mozzie to do the same thing as Hankins. What does that have to do with anything? Because Hankins was asked to do those same things and he did it better doesn't mean that they were both being used properly. Because I don't think that was the case. Zim is going to ask Mozzie to do things he is familiar with. And as Coach Scanina said, no offense to this group of coaches, but why the are we sending Mozzie upfield like he's a 3-tech? That's what he really wanted to say. I said it for him. That's what he wanted to say. Coach Zim was sitting there watching the film with his pregnant belly, got his notes on his pregnant belly. This Mozzie Smith, this mother, did he just one gap? He got his head down. I mean, look at some of this. What? He got his head down, just rushing with his eyes closed, huh? He struggled with them double teams. If you look at some of these notes or some of these plays, he was struggling with them double teams. You'll see a better Mozzie. How much better is the real question. Hey, let's hit the phone lines real quick and let's wrap to none other than some of my favorite takes of the week, are toxic takes. Shouts out to you. What's good, Toxic Tom? Hey, dog. What's up with the pregnant belly? Zim. He look about eight months, but he about to pop. He going in labor. That water finna break, dog. They need to give him a True Classics. The True Classics hide all that. They give him a XXX True Classic. They sending Zim out there in the snug medium, and that boy, you can see the baby kicking, fam. This is crazy. Anyway, what's up with you, Toxic? Oh, y'all can't hear Toxic. So Toxic was talking about how Zim's pregnant belly, man. It was nuts. But go ahead.
Oh, yeah. That had me dying just looking at Zim, especially when he did that wave when he said, "Hey, Christy," and he's got Crisco, sweating out of his pores. But anyway,
he did it twice now. Now he got a little funny with Christy 2 times now. All right, he gonna have to chill out.
Yeah, and it looks like people can't hear me. Damn, so I can't ruin their day too.
You back now. You back. They couldn't hear you. Yeah,
cool.
You're back.
So this whole theme you've been talking about, it's ringing a larger theme of we have no fucking idea what we're doing here. And you just gave a list of every single player, and you basically said, this is why this guy isn't set up for success. This is why he's set up for complete failure, and we have no idea if we're actually going to get better. And that, to me, it just started me to think, what other positions have we said this about? And it's a theme. We look at running back. There's parts of the wide receiver room. Look at the offensive line. There's things where we're just like, hey, this is probably not going to work. And we put this guy to set up for failure last year. So let's just keep doing that again. And it just rings true. Man, we have needed defensive tackle help since you and Christ were in college, dude. Like, it has been forever and a day And I keep hearing them saying, hey, we want to stop the run. And yet in every single playoff game that we've lost in the last, I don't know how many years, a common theme has been can't stop the run, little to no depth in the D tackle room. And it just makes me wonder, why the hell are we using Roy Rogers and all these non-playable characters as D tackles? And then when we do invest in D tackles, we don't even use them right. So my question to you is, do you think they don't value the position, or do you think they just don't understand the value of the position?
That's a fantastic question. I don't think the guys up top value it. And I think Will, and this is, I don't know how many times I have to say this. Sorry, y'all. Sound like a broken record. This is why I don't believe Will McClay is truly the general manager. I even saw somebody on the big networks, I think it was Emmanuel Acho, try to say that. And I'm like, no, he's not. But anyway, I think what Will does is the coaches say, hey, this is what I want. This is the style I'm going to play. And he gives those guys those options via the draft or the cheap options via free agency in April, in March and April. But I don't think there is a true philosophy that meshes from the top down. At least the top, I don't truly believe values the position. They value running back, or they did at least, more for years, where the game was showing you where that was going, and it took them a day late and a dollar short to understand that. But they're still a day late and a dollar short at the defensive tackle position. You could argue, well, they tried to do it with the drafting of Mozzie Smith. So sure, I'll be fair and give them that. But then, like you said, you get them in here, they don't use them correctly. So it's a strange thing. And you could argue, you make the joke about, them needing a defensive tackle for years. I mean, since Russell Maryland, they didn't draft a defensive tackle in the first round since Russell Maryland until Mozzie came. But you could argue since then, have they truly, really even taken the position serious? And yes, they signed Leroy Glover. Yes, Jay Ratliff was a 7th round pick. But I mean, you're talking about few and far in between. We're talking, 2 top guys in 20-some years. That's okay.
Yep. And you said it just has a trickle effect, because even going into last year when we had good defensive tackle depth and we lost to Marvian Overshone in training camp, and we're banking on basically paralyzed Jack Reacher to be our linebacker, and Leighton Vander Esch, who is one hit away to turning into Walter White Jr., and you're going to tell me it just seems like they have the D tackles, and then they're like, we don't need linebackers. I don't know what train of thought goes into these inbred people's minds other than it's cheap, I don't care, we'll just get through it, because everything I've heard them talk about is basically saying our only plan is hope. Hope is it, because if you look at the way they're spending their cash, they are not spending money on this team. So I hope, Bendar, if you're listening, if you're one of those Saudi princes that can buy this team, I hope it's you, man, with your Bengal Tigers and your 14 Maseratis. Please save us. But other than that, this is probably the most depressing room on this entire Cowboys team. And I think when Stephen Jones says we're going to address it, they are going to find some guy you've never heard of that was an all-pro USFL, Pro Bowler, fan-voted guy. I don't know what they're going to do. I just don't think this is not the time to be addressing the defensive tackle room when free agency is over, the draft is over, and now you're going shopping.
But
God,
Toxic.
Lord. Okay.
I mean, I feel you, bro, but they have to. I mean, let me bring up. They have to. I don't care if it's a UFL guy, right? Like, you can't go into the season with this and expect to be better, right? Let me see here.
I mean, you and I are both logical human beings that think an inch below the surface. So yes, in my opinion, they have to do this. But take a look at Rosie O'Donnell and look in that man's eyes and think think he's going to be a logical man.
And it's like the free agent list is mad light. Honestly, we did a project a few months back. I don't think this is ever going to happen because it's too much. But we brought up trade candidates. The trade candidates that I was looking at, the BJ Hills of the world, bro, they were like $8-9 million per year guy. Yes, you trade, they can go down, but that's going to be too much. They don't even want to spend that much at that position. But I mean, the Devin Gottschalks, the BJ Hills, they would immensely upgrade this room if you are truly trying to go out here and improve in areas that you have been weak at for a while, and they just won't do it.
Stephen Jones would cancel Christmas if he had to spend $9 million on a defensive tackle. I think that man would need a sabbatical because I think it would scare him half to death. It's at the point where I don't know what it's going to take. You've seen, I think the breaking point for me was when I saw C.J. Anderson. It looked like he just came out of L.A. Fitness pickup game.
Bro.
And he ran all over us. And I'm thinking, okay, this should be the it. Nope, let's just keep losing the same exact way because it fills the seats. And it's just, I really hope one of these guys works out. But when it comes to defensive tackles, it's just like, I hate to be cynical, especially about this position, but it's just, how this is going to end. And I just wonder who they're going to blame. Because I know, what are you going to blame it on, a one-year defensive coordinator in Mike Zim? Who's the excuse? So you don't have to spend money. But sorry for taking up your phone lines and rambling a little bit.
Never.
You have a great day, and bring back Ryan Nall.
My God, appreciate you, Toxic. You know, I was just sitting here thinking, I don't even know if I can pin it all on coaching anyway. Yes. And I'm talking about Dan Quinn. Did not use them correctly. But there has to be somebody up top. And maybe it's the Jerry and the Stevens, probably Jerry, who looked at him and said, if we're going to spend first round pick on the defensive tackle, you got to be able to pass rush. And they wanted to speed that process up. That sounds like a Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones front office type thing, right? We're not wasting a first round pick on defensive tackle if he can't rush the passer. Fair enough, but rushing the passer wasn't your problem. Then I started getting to thinking again. Well, Dan, at the very least, addressed the position. They didn't draft a defensive tackle in the first round since Russ, but y'all, they didn't draft a defensive tackle that was 330 plus pounds, period, in like 20 some years until they drafted Bohanna. And then they did so in back-to-back years. Bohanna, Big Country. But Big Country gets cut 3 weeks into the season after being a fifth round pick. That doesn't sound like a coaching decision. Coaches don't want to get rid. Coaches not trying to get rid of their guys that early. We didn't get a chance to develop these dudes. And they cut them when they could have just put Dak on IR, or they could have cut somebody else. And now he's in, Washington and probably going to be part of their rotation again. So you asked the question, do they not value him? I think there's somebody upstairs that truly does not value it. And look, I'm not saying you got to draft one in the first. You can sign a guy. You can spend a second, third, fourth round pick on a guy. You can trade for a guy. There's many different ways to bring a more impactful type of player in here. Or you can have a scheme that's designated for these types. But I don't know why they look at the DT room, at least in that manner, and they talk the talk, right? We want to be more physical. We want to against the run and all that. But you don't really walk the walk. You don't do it. Does it sound like the safety room? Man, look, that safety room, and it was crazy, Smoke. They still really didn't invest in it. We're still, since 2013, since they drafted a safety inside the top 4 rounds. Was it J.J. Wilcox? And that safety, 2012 maybe, that safety was a former running back. So they still didn't really invest. They didn't invest capital. They invest money now, draft capital. They invest money now because they signed their guys. And I feel like they more than lucky there than anything, right? Dono struck gold in the 6th round. J. Ron had one good year. Malik's a former first round pick, but they were signing him on the cheap. But yeah, it does sound like the safety room. Didn't take it serious for a long time. To the point, y'all, I stopped watching safeties in the draft. Every year, me and Foots would do this, man. And hey, man, this is a perfect spot. Round 2, 3, never do it. I said, I'm done. These dudes are never going to draft a safety in the top 3, 4 rounds. Not happening. They'll wait till round 6 or 7. All right, they'll wait to get Xavier Woods. Donovan Wilson. Now there's just no need, right? But that's they don't care about certain positions. That's just the way it is, man. Any free agents, G? Nah, not really, bro. That's why I said I'm looking at the trade market, AG. I mean, look, if we just stick into Linval Joseph, I get it, but Linval Joseph, 36 years old, but even if he just came in here to be a mentor, Linval Joseph is there. Hassan Ridgeway, he's a big body. I think this Brian, I looked him up months ago. Brian, was it Monet? He a big dude. I think he's something around like 360 or something like that. Let me see if I don't really tell you right here. But this is not I mean, y'all, listen. I'm going to read some of these. Hassan Ridgeway, Lawrence Guy, Al Woods. Al Woods, 37. I like Al Woods 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. Linval Joseph, Chris Wormley. Dog, it ain't much out there, man. It ain't much out there. But trades, let's roll. I'll give you one of these 5th rounders, 6th rounders. Let's go. Sully dropped 5.
Super chat.
He said it tells you who to blame when soon as he got to DC, signed 2 of the linebackers on the market. He's to blame. He is to blame some, but they tied his hands behind his back. So Sully's talking about Quinn. Quinn goes to Washington. They sign all the linebackers in the world. Facts. That's facts. 334. What it is, what it do?
What's up, Scott, man? How you doing, brother?
I'm good. How are you this morning, man?
I'm all right, man. I can't complain, man. We here, man. We finally made it.
Dog, do we need this? This offseason is something. We need this.
Hey, man. I don't know what to do, man.
We at the home stretch.
This kid right here, brother. But I ain't got but a couple books in the possible, man. Look, I don't know what it is about the Joneses, bro, but the way they save money, you would swear they grew up off syrup sandwiches. Man, they eat sandwiches and all this, man.
Acting like they ate spam.
You know what they fry bologna sandwiches, man. Just the way they don't spend money, man. And my question is,
it ain't Jerry.
Huh?
It ain't Jerry. We know Jerry will spend mostly on his own, and if it's Steven. I don't know why Steven is as frugal as he is, and there's a positive to it in certain cases, but I mean we don't got to do this every single time. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, every single time, man. It's like, and then we like CD, man, pay that man, bro. Like, man, I want to see CD start to come out. Why do our players always gotta hold out before they can start the season, bro? The best players, they always have to hold out, and they like. I feel like if he was got injured, they would have rushed to get him a contract.
Yeah,
that don't make sense, bro. It don't make sense.
Well, it don't make sense in the grand scheme of things, but it makes sense for this organization because they've been doing that for a long time. They think that if you're a hurt guy, you will get a cheaper deal, and that's normally the case. So unless you're willing, like Trayvon Diggs, to come in under record-setting market, then they're going to drag this thing all the way out unless you've been a hurt guy. And then they'll say, oh, well, hey, man, we can get you for cheaper, or you can go play a la Terrence Steele, a la Michael Gallup. You can go play on this injury, and I bet you won't get this same deal. And that's true. Both of those guys would have never got that deal had they hit the market with the performances that they had coming off their injury. Well, Dallas says, well, we're not banking on you the next year. We're banking on you the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th year in the contract. So, we got a deal. And they love to win the deal, in my opinion, more than actually winning on the field.
So you think they just when it comes down to the GT, you think they just gonna see what they got through the camp and just wait to, wait till like the cutting days from other teams to find somebody?
Well, according to Todd Archer and Brian, they are looking at the defensive tackles before camp. So I don't know that they're going to sign anybody. I doubt that because, I mean, the list is not great. But so I agree with what you're saying here, or leaning towards is maybe they wait until some other team calls the Cowboys, hey, we got our 5th defensive tackle out here for trade, or we got a veteran guy that's up for trade, or maybe they wait for cuts, and they get a couple. I think they need a couple, y'all. Like, I'm not looking at this room like, oh, just get you one Linval. Nah, they need a couple dudes, man.
They really do, man. Because how we gonna really know is like people like Cooper gonna be really battle tested with what we got, man. You know what I mean? Like, bro, we need somebody in here.
Well,
we need somebody
I'm gonna
in
tell
here
you what's
at
gonna
the
happen,
next
bro.
level, bro.
If they don't do anything, this is what's gonna happen. They're gonna pull another Jonathan Hankins by week 6. When's our bye week? Let me pull this up real quick. Cowboys bye. When's our bye? Week 7. So we said week 6. By week 7, they'll probably give it a whole ass 7 weeks, like they did a couple years ago, and they'll go out and trade for a Jonathan Hankins type. That just seems to be their MO. 2018, oh, we don't need a receiver. Oops. Yes, we do. Go out and trade for one. 2022, we don't need to go get a defense tackle. Oops. Yes, we do. Let's go get 2022. Same thing. We don't need a corner or an extra receiver. Oops. Yes, we do. Let's go trade for them after the season. So this is a very reactionary team, and I've been telling you that for months, and I would not be surprised if one of these two positions they react during the season, and I'm talking running back and defensive tackle.
Yeah. Last question, man. What for somebody like Jeffrey Simmons, man? What you'll give up?
Justin Simmons?
Jeffrey Simmons from the Titans.
Oh, Jeffrey Simmons. I thought you said Justin, the safety.
Yeah. Jeffrey.
Oh, Jeffrey worked the first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was thinking more like
they won't do that. I'd jump.
Nah, they ain't. I would jump on that, man.
Come on, man.
Quick. Like, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's
Justin
all I had,
Simmons.
man.
All right, big dog. Appreciate the call. Good stuff.
Thank you, bro. Yes, sir.
Man, that's a bona fide game changer on the inside. I'm 100%. What you want? I mean, I'm not gonna give up all my picks and nothing like that. But I give up premium. Let me just say that. I give up a premium for sure. Now he expensive. They not giving up a premium. Again, they've traded one draft pick that high. And it's at one position, wide receiver. And it's first round picks, don't get me wrong, so this is expensive. But they did that for Amari Cooper. They're not going to do it for Justin. Just Jeffrey Simmons. Justin Simmons. Jeffrey Simmons. I would. Because that's the position you need a dude. But have it here. And I know you can play the game of, well, if you did that, you won't get Micah. You did that, you won't get... You also might not have Mozzie Smith. So, I mean, okay, take my second. That's way more of a miss than it is a hit. Here, have that. Have at it. Here's my second. All right, let me lock these up. We got 2 more here. 603. Then Maserati. What's good, 603?
Hey, Scott, you've been calling me out, sending up the bat signal, man. So I had to come out my cave.
Uh-oh.
This is Roy.
I had a
This
feeling.
is Roy.
Like,
This is the guy you've been calling Roy out. You've been calling me out. Y'all call me out. So I'm coming out of my cave, man.
Love it, Roy.
So here's my point. Here's my plan. Here's my couple of my points.
All right.
Number one, Aiden Dirty. Aiden Dirty was the defensive line coach. Who has he developed since he's been coaching in the NFL? He came over from Mr. Tea Time, Tea and Crumpets. Who has he developed? Who has he developed on the defensive line?
Yeah, Aiden Dirty was Dan Quinn's guy, right? He brought him over at Atlanta and kind of took him under his wing. And he was respected in our room, but he's very, I don't use the word green, but he's young. So there aren't a bunch of players that I think you contribute to him developing.
Any defensive, Aiden Dirty needs to go back to England and learn how to coach. I just never, Sam Williams didn't respect him. I mean, you got to have coaches that have played in the NFL for these kids to respect being the coaches that they have that are coaching them. You got to have somebody that's been with you where I'm at. You got to, for me to respect you, have to been where I've been.
I think it takes a special player or a special coach to reach players if you haven't played in this game. Now, there are tons of coaches that have not. I mean, some of the best ones, McDaniels didn't coach or play. Kyle Shanahan didn't play in this league. Andy, I don't think Andy played. I could be wrong, y'all, but he might have played in the league. I know he played in college. So, there are just some great coaches that don't, but those are like really great coaches. You know what I'm saying? There's something to it. And you hear what Dick said. Dick said, give me a coach that's played. And Jeff Scanina, he played. Jeff Scanina played 20 years in this league on the interior of and he's a big dude that probably still could play. I 100% am with you. This is all respect, Roy, to Coach AD. But I say this and I say it all the time. How can I take this dude serious in the meeting room? I can't. He sounds like a Bond villain. Exactly.
And another thing, Scott, we keep talking about our D-line. You know how you have to build a D-line now? You have to build it from the inside out. There are more edges and defensive ends that are going to be productive in the NFL than D tackles. D tackles take longer to develop, so you have to build your D-line from the inside out. And we should. And one dude said in the chat, we should be drafting D tackles from the SEC. They're more pro NFL ready. We need to be drafting D tackles. And why I'm still crying over Big Bohannon and Ridgeway. I'm still crying over them two guys because we were on the right track. And I believe that Dan Quinn was trying to get back at the Dallas Cowboys management because he didn't get named the next head coach, so he cut them. So that's my point, man. You
think so, Roy? I think the front office made that decision. I feel like coaches don't want to get rid of their players that damn fast,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's not
so. Well, Bohannon was developing, and they even mentioned it. He was coming on.
He was.
And we cut him. He was coming on. Bohannon was coming on, and we cut him. And I like Golston. I mean, I give him a chance, but that Denzel Jackson, you even look at his tape, he doesn't get any penetration. I mean,
no, he's not a player. He don't play on the other side.
I mean, to me, he's just a camp body. So I don't, why mention him? You and Law keep mentioning him, and he's just a camp body. I believe that we're going to make a trade. I believe we're going to make a trade for D tackle.
Royce, pause. Real quick,
I really do.
Pause. Real question. This is a real serious question. How long have you been following the show, good brother?
I've been following y'all. I try to stay in my cave.
Just my show.
I've been following you, man, about 2 years now.
Oh, come on, Roy. You know better than that. Then you're familiar with the State of the Union. Then, so you're familiar with what we do. We talk about everybody in the room. That's why I bring up Denzel Jackson. But I don't disagree that until proven otherwise, he's just a bottom of the roster guy. Now he can go out there and prove everybody wrong, but now as we speak,
I mean, every time we talk about D tackles, y'all talk about you and Law, and listen to me. You and Law Nation have mentioned Denzel Jackson over Golston more. Golston don't even get his name mentioned anymore.
Hey, you ain't got to lie, Craig. You ain't got to lie. If I'm mentioning Denzel Jackson, that's exactly what I'm doing. Just mentioning it. I mean, he ain't. I'm not buffing up no Denzel Jackson. Don't do that to your boy.
Man, I listen to Law almost every day, man. And when they talk about these tackles, he's talking Denzel Jackson name. Fine. What about Golston? We got. Golston.
Okay.
Golston.
Hey, Roy,
it's Golston.
Right there. Let's
talk
about him.
Chance to shine.
Okay, Roy. So you talking about Golston? I don't think Golston is good for defensive tackle either.
Well, you know what it is, Sky? He's the tallest of our defensive linemen. If you look, see, that's another thing. Listen to me, Sky. He is the tallest defensive lineman we have. We don't have any height, no length on our defensive line. He is the tallest.
Okay. What's that got to do with?
I mean, you need some length on your defensive line. You need big boys. I'm not talking about 6'3" is fine, but you need some bodies at 6'4", 6'5", 6'6" on your defensive line. You remember when we had Chad Hennings and Leon Lett?
Sure. Well,
You remember Jason Hatcher? Those guys were 6'6", 6'5".
If you're saying 6'4", you got a couple of those. 6'5", you got a couple. But that doesn't matter if you're 270 pounds. You can't play defensive tackle full time, in my opinion, at 6'5", 270 pounds. So that's why I don't believe in.
He should. You know what he should have been?
At defense tackle.
See, there again, like you said, Sky, he should have been on the peanut butter diet. He should be well over 300 pounds by now. He should be. You know who messed him up? Dan Quinn. Oh, you got to have some pass rush ability. That's the problem. You got to have some pass rush ability. He messed up Mozzie Smith. You got to have some pass rush ability. That's what I mean. You can't
Roy, they could have just left him out there at defensive end. It could have been a 280 pounds, well-rounded defensive end. They could have just did that, but they messing around with him. So
Yeah. Well, good brothers, good to talk to you, man. Y'all need to leave me in my cage, man.
No, I love it, Roy. I respect you for doing. I tell people do this all the time, Roy, because the problem is it's hard to really have a real conversation in the chat. So I say, call into the show and ask the chat. Nobody ever calls in, so
Sometimes I'm too busy and I'm doing other things, man. But y'all be call. I mean, when y'all press that, don't break that. Don't pick up the red phone until you really need an emergency, man.
You said leave sleeping giants lay. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
All right, Roy.
Exactly. All right, man. All right.
Good stuff.
All
that
right.
was fun.
All right.
Roy said, "Hey, dog, I done about had it with y'all calling me out here. Hey, y'all, guess what? I'm not sure if he dropped the tweet yet, but we got a little bit of breaking news. Let me just see if we are legitimately the first ones. And nope, he just dropped it. Damn, I was going to drop it while he sent me the text. But a little bit of breaking news. The Cowboys camp presser, which is usually prior to practices, has been moved from Wednesday to Saturday. And as I go on Twitter to see if we beat Pat to the punch, we did not. He just dropped a tweet. The opening presser is now Saturday, July 27th at 9 a.m. Opening ceremony is following right after. The mock game is to follow at 10:30. Weird. They normally do these things before practice, so my schedule will alter a little bit. We were going to do a joint stream talking about this presser, but we'll still do a joint stream. It just won't be about the presser. So Saturday, opening presser has been moved to Saturday. Now, as the years go on, these things don't mean much of anything. But Jerry, as the years have gone on, normally comes out and is very defensive about what happened or did not happen in the off season. What I get a kick out of in these pressers is watching Mike McCarthy just have no juice. I mean, Jerry don't give a damn that he's the head coach. He don't. This is more of a Jerry Jones presser, and Mike will oblige. Mike, like, I don't even want to talk to these names. I'm just chilling. But I don't always think that's a good thing. I let the coach do the coach talk. So there you have it. The presser is on Saturday. All right, let's wrap this thing up with Maserati Mar. What's good, Mar?
What up, family? How you doing?
I'm good. Long time no speak.
I know. I just been listening to y'all, just chilling. I said the season about to practice start this weekend, so
yep.
Get ready for that. You know what I'm saying? But one guy do make sense. Like I said, I just wait for the cuts because there's a lot of G tackles that you can't hide on your team. They do it the same way. Like we got a lot of good linemen. We ain't gonna be able to sneak on the line. They're gonna purge some of our linemen and safeties. Watch what I tell you. So it's gonna go back and forth. But the guy I think they're gonna start is gonna be Rogers because he played in the SC with Memphis and Auburn, and he's built that way to stop the run. And this is a perfect fit.
Who's that?
Zimmer. Rogers.
Oh, Justin Rogers.
The D-tackle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's the one he's fit to play this way.
I agree.
He's big,
I think he fits
strong.
him.
So, yeah, and then you can tell when he played against Alabama, them boys weigh 360 in the middle. That's like 360, 360. They guards are big, and he was not getting moved. So that's good. And then in practice, he's gonna get going against our guards. It's gonna make him ready. But I don't know about the other guy, but they'll get a D tackle. I'm not sure.
Yeah, they have to.
They're gonna get a D tackle. Now, the only thing on the offensive side, now if the center play, I ain't gonna hate on the center because the center, you gotta give him credit. He went to our favorite offensive coach and line coach that train our guys.
Oh,
and he put in the work.
Duke.
So I gotta give him credit for that. He's not trying to play around.
Oh,
and
no. Brock, you talking about Brock? No, I love Brock as a depth guy for sure. I don't want Brock as my 17-game starter.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. They better not favoritism because that guy we drafted in the 3rd round, because I know him. That kid been at home practicing them snaps, reads, everything. You know what I'm saying? So he won't start.
Toxic, come on, man.
So if it come even, do not favoritism. And I don't want to hear about 71 starting at left tackle. No. Do not do that, Dallas. I ain't got time to play games. You know what I'm saying? Let that boy get his butt whooped in camp.
Let me tell you something, Mark.
So he can get ready for the game.
If number 71 is part of your favoritism, then our coach is as blind as a bat.
No, that's the new offensive coordinator. Keep bringing his name up every show. I keep talking.
You talking about the offensive line coach, Solari?
Solari, no, and then
Chuma Matata better not be a part of favoritism, Marv. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
If anything, favoritism Tyler Guyton. That's who I want to see favoritism because he's the first round pick. Just let him get out there and get all the hiccups out the way. You know?
Get all the hiccups. That's how you do it in camp.
Yeah.
Let him get his butt whooped. And then that's how you get better. I do not want to see 71 out there starting.
No.
That'll piss me off. I better not see that. And like I say, don't try to put a D-tackle in there that you know gonna get his butt whooped. If Rodgers is taking the heat, then I'm sticking with Rodgers. No more favoritism, man. I don't want to see no favoritism, bro.
Yeah,
y'all call me Cowboy 2, Cowboy 1, get out the way. You better not. Oh, nah.
Hey,
if Ranye beat out number 6, Ranye beat out number 6.
Yeah.
Sorry, Will.
If Ranye beat him out, then Ranye got to get it. Yeah, I'm with you there. Definitely in the safety room because the safety room is good enough and competitive enough to where I'm happy with whatever decision that is made if it's a true competition. Defensive tackle, bro. You brought up Rodgers. Rodgers has a chance to really push Mozzie if Mozzie doesn't respond well, and that's to me I don't think is a great thing because that means the room is not all the way there. I think Rodgers should be a part of a rotation.
Yeah,
and especially to bring in a veteran dude. So I would love if Rodgers was like your 2B one tech, right? He's not just your first one tech, but he's sometimes 2, sometimes 3. If Rodgers is your starter, bro, we got problems. That means Mozzie is just a complete whiff.
Well, Mozzie was talking all that smack, and I don't know what he let Dan Quinn get in his head. But you saw the camp when I was there, how Dan Quinn was trying to teach him to get upfield. You know, and I thought it was good. And then all of a sudden, I was like, what the hell? And like the one guy said, when you had Bohanna, he tried to sneak Big Country on. I was like, what is he doing? I saw in the preseason, they was trying to make these guys 3-tech. I mean, man,
they did, bro. I'm never gonna forget, being at camp and me and Vosh looking at each other like, hey, dog, is that Bohanna doing 3-tech thing? Now Bohanna stepped up that year, by the way. Like he looked like his second best defensive tackle on the team.
He did,
and he did it well. So I think he handled that better than Mozzie. However, don't lie to me, Craig. Like, you ain't got to lie. You told me Bohanna was going to be doing this, and sometimes he was going to be here. And next thing I know, they got Bohanna shooting gaps and getting upfield. They got Mozzie shooting gaps, and you cutting the other one tech. So I think that's why I think this came from the top. I think they said, we're investing in this damn position, then they need to rush the passer. They need to rush the passer now. That's not how this works. Sometimes some players are just good at what they're good at. And you go look at my bad for hijacking this real quick. And I get it. It's a totally different defense. This defense, in my opinion, is better. The Chiefs defense, they bring players in because they're good at a specific thing. And they don't say, do this other thing. Look at Mike Pennell and all these other dudes on the defensive tackle position. These aren't high-profile players, but they defend the run well, or maybe they set the edge well, or maybe there's an attacking linebacker, or maybe this linebacker covers well. They're not asking 4, 5, 6 different players to do 4, 5, 6 different things. And Dan Quinn openly admits, Will McClay openly admits, and Stephen Jones always brings up the versatility, right? Hey, can you do? We want you to be able to do multiple things. That sounds great, but what happens when you're asking these players to do 2, 3 different things and you're taking away from the one thing they're good at? Now what?
Yeah, and that's that dummy stuff. And I was like, I said, man, these guys are tripping, because the one guy that was just got off the phone, he was telling too fast. That dumb Dan Quinn, I don't know what he's thinking. He the one. They weren't going to cut that dude, man, Ridgeway. Because I said, okay, we got Ridgeway. Phil Pick, and you try to put him on a practice squad, and you had that sorry dude that went to Miami. He used to piss me off, number 96. He played for Miami now, the D tackle for us that we kept.
Neville Gallimore.
Yeah, Gallimore can push my grandmother off the way. He getting killed every time he playing a game. I said, what happened to this guy? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They try to make him a D tackle when he was a three tech. Now, come on, man, don't be with this foolishness, man. And then,
another swing and a miss.
I remember one thing, Voss, I gotta give Voss credit, because it was before y'all even did the draft. It was a guy that I was watching in college. I said, man, where the guy went from Memphis, number 52. And I used to watch him play. I said, this big dude ain't getting this dude. Because, my team, Alabama. I said, this dude is not getting pushed. And then Voss said it. When he showed me the tape of Orb, it was Rodgers. That's the guy I was looking for. I said, man, I hope he draft this guy. So I'll be looking, too. Because I'll be looking at, in the SEC, when they couldn't move nobody. All them teams. I said, he was playing for Memphis, playing like that. And then I said, Voss said, man, this guy Rodgers. I said, oh, that's where he transferred. Got that extra money. He transferred to Auburn. I said, oh my God, that's the guy I was looking for. So I'm excited for him. That's my cash pick.
Yeah, and I think Justin Rogers fits the mold, but I'm not looking at Justin Rogers as any type of saver. I don't think that's the case. I don't think he's good enough. I think he's just a one tech you put in the middle of the defense and you say clog up this lane. But when
that's all I want him to do.
Yeah, but I also would love to have a defensive tackle that can get down the line of scrimmage a bit more athletic, can do multitude of things. When I say multitude of things, I'm not saying you teach them to be one techs or 3 techs, but he just feels like a guy just stick in the middle and you say, hey man, just clog this lane up. And that's cool, but that's not a guy that I can play a whole lot throughout the year right away, because then he'll get worn down too.
The guy you talking about, and he could do it. You can give him a 3rd or 4th round pick.
Who?
That's the Tennessee guy. That's who you want.
Oh, Justin Simmons? Yes, that's exactly the type of dude. Or Jeffrey Simmons. Yes, that's exactly what I want. You can call me greedy. I don't care. I want a Jeffrey Simmons. Yeah, you damn right.
That's what I want. That's what you pay. Okay, man. And you ain't got to give him a 1st or number 2 no more, because they ain't get rid of the contract. They'll give us a number 3.
Sign them.
Yeah. But the last guys that remaining on the defensive line is Hassan Ridgeway, Lawrence God, Brian Moon, Linville Joseph, Al Woods, Mike Purcell, Tyson Alua, Matt Dickerson, and Davion Nixon.
Who are these names? Why are you reading these names? I'm sorry, I missed that part.
These are D tackles. These are the last D tackles out there.
You're talking about that's out there in free agency?
Right now, yeah.
Mike Pennell's out there?
Yeah.
Oh, shit,
Mike Purcell.
Right? Oh, Purcell.
Yeah, Mike
Never mind.
Purcell. And then, like you say, me and you already said, because you showed me. Cleveland got about 7 D tackles. Washington got 7 D tackles. Now, you could trade one of our safeties to Washington or what you call. I'm not worried about safety no more. You defense safety.
Yeah, me neither. I'm
telling
not.
You can't hide them. You ain't gonna be able to hide them, Scott.
I mean, to keep it a bean,
So
a
it's like
savvy
you said.
team could flip one of them safeties.
Yeah, you better go on. You better go on trade one of them safety. I'm telling you right now, because if you try to cut him, when you cut him, he's getting picked up. When you could have
Nah, you don't cut. You don't cut. You got 4, in my opinion, quality guys. You don't cut any of them. If you're trying to move on from one, you flip them. That's what you do.
Yeah, you gotta flip him. Because you got them young boys just coming, and the way Zimmer plays defense is like you on one side, Scott.
No,
I'm on the other
INC.
side.
I like Jeffrey Simmons, but he ain't Micah.
Yeah. I handle down my side of the field. You on the side of yours. That's when you won't get the coverage messed up like you played against Green Bay. I take them side of my field. You got your side of the field, and you ain't playing that stupid one safety back there getting torched.
INC. I'm trying to pair somebody with Micah. I'm not trying to take Micah away and then we just get one dude on the line of scrimmage. You know what I'm saying?
No, I want him.
No.
He the queen. You got to play him all over the field.
Yeah.
This one he could become. If he listens to Zimmer, he could have like 70 tackles, probably 3 interceptions, and like 14, 13 sacks. Because them other linebackers finna get a lot of sacks, and that's gonna piss Mike off. Because he's like, oh man,
Micah gonna get his sacks. I ain't worried about that because they're gonna.
I ain't worried about Mike.
They're gonna set him up for that. I don't until I believe it when I see it. I don't think he's gonna play a lot of linebacker. I don't. I think he'll be moved around the line of scrimmage. But the way it sounds right now is that they are really high on Demo. They're high on obviously Eric Kendrick is gonna be the guy, and they're high on Marius Leofau. I feel like they're pretty set at linebacker where Micah will be moved around from left, right, middle. Times he'll drop, but he's going to be probably an 80-20 player.
Yeah. So you got to make him and now everybody on sync, like you say, on the defense. Everybody be in sync, and it make it hard for the quarterbacks to read defense. Now the key
in closing, Marvin.
In closing, and when we play the West Coast offenses, it won't be no more mess ups. They're gonna be confused. I'm gonna see if that Green Bay quarterback is really good on this.
Oh, he good. He good, but yeah. This Mike Zimmer has had success against those style of coordinators, and it's because the coverage on the back end is not linear. It's not one coverage the whole time, right? Or 2 coverages. Yeah. He's going to mix it up back there.
Thank you.
Gotta stop the run, though. Gotta stop the run. That does not matter.
The middle.
Yeah.
Good show, brother. You coming out here?
No, not this summer. But I'll be in Dallas, but I won't be at the one in Canada.
You can't take a trip.
No, I just had a baby, man. I gotta be here for
okay. Congratulations. Damn, boy, you popping them out. How many kids you got now?
I got 3, man. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, baby, 1, 2, 3.
You gonna have a football team in a minute.
Football. Can we start off with a starting 5 first? But no, I'm done.
Yeah, you gonna have a 5. And congratulations to you.
I got a big 3.
You got a big 3.
Got a big 3. Appreciate you, Marv.
Congratulations, you and your family. Man.
Thank you, fam. Appreciate
it.
Salute. Hey, Marv, don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. Goddamn 11. I don't want 11 of them things running around here. Mel said, good show, Marv. Right. Maserati said, listen, I ain't talked to you in like 2 months. You going to get these takes. Hot off the press. And make sure I ain't missing none of y'all. Shouts out to INC. I did miss him. He dropped a dub
Super Chat.
earlier and just said this defensive tackle room discussion is fire. Yeah, it's one like we've been talking about it right throughout the offseason, but we didn't dive in on it like we're doing today, where we take a look at every player in the room from the back to the front, starting with Carl Davis, Denzel Dax, and Justin Rogers. Those are your let's be real, technically. I mean, let me pull this up real quick. You could argue Justin Rogers is your third true defensive tackle on this team. All right, because then you got Chauncey Osa-Amazie, but Chauncey, he's not a real defensive tackle to me, but he's been playing there. Man, something I'm gonna be watching for sure. That's why I kind of dubbed this, show today the DT emergency. I truly do believe there's an emergency at the position, and Dallas needs to address it. But I thought this was the case February and March. You got all the way to May for the draft, and still was the case. You got out of the draft, still the case. I get it. You're not going to be able to address everything, but damn it, it wasn't hard, in my opinion, to address this. Here I go again, hyping up Dax. That's hilarious. I talk too much, and I hype up Denzel Dax. Those are the things that I didn't know I was aware of. I got to chill out with that, man. Chill out, Sky. Chill out. I saw something the other day by I forget the dude's name. Was it Outlaw on Twitter? I forget, man. There are Cowboy Twitter accounts that, in my opinion, are the version or the roundtable version of Cowboys Twitter, if that makes sense. Like I'm not that guy on Twitter. I always keep that in mind. During the season, yes, I tweet out the clips and stats and updates and things like that. But I'm not that guy on Twitter. But there are truly like active and quality Cowboy Twitter accounts, and he's one of them where he tweets a lot of Dak Prescott stuff. I don't really care for that much, but he tweets a lot of good things. And one of the things he has said was Cowboys could have had, was it Grover? Who's the cat from Glover? Was it Glover? I think that's his name. From Indianapolis. Let's see. Grover Stewart. That's what it was. They could have Grover Stewart and Derrick Henry for a cap hit of $15 million this year. And he was like, well, if they would extend it just Dak, it would have opened up $20 million in space to get him. And I'm just like, man, that's crazy. You definitely could have had two A1 type players to add to this roster to help you get over the hump. But go follow him though. I think it was Outlaw. Go follow him on Twitter. If you following me, most of what you're gonna see at this point till camp start is wrestling. Wrestling. That's what you're gonna see. And new. That's what you're gonna see. Shank said Golson's undersized. Yeah, he gets up to 300. He can play that Crawford role. Not happening, Shank. That's unhealthy. Dude's like 270. He not getting like the thing about Crawford was always around 300. So it was quote unquote a little easier for him to put on that 5 to 10 pounds. Like we can't keep asking bro to put on 20, 30 pounds. Can't do it. Yeah, it was 15.4. So you would have got Derrick Henry and Grover Stewart for a combined $15.4 million cap hit this year. And Grover was one of those guys we highlighted, man. Every year, I put out Cap Boy criteria. And this year, boy, I was so far off. There was a couple, when it comes to the monies. And Grover wasn't part of my Cap Boy criteria. He was my all-in guy. But some of these dudes I was looking at, and I'm like, man, they got paid $4, $5, $6 million. And I'm sitting here thinking that was going to be cheap for the Cowboys. Man, they wasn't touching that. Steven wasn't touching that. So Cap Boy criteria really going to have to be who wants to play for $38? That's what's going to have to be next year. It was ratio. It was a fantastic point. All right, one more refresh here. Bow, we good to go. Do me a favor on your way out of this thing. if you enjoyed today's breakdown, hit the like button. With certain things happening and moving to Saturday, maybe we will have one more State of the Union. My thought process moving forward is that with camp about to be underway, there's no need to really deteriorate or go anywhere else. We're going to really break down camp. But Wednesday was supposed to be the presser. Thursday, we were going to talk about it a bit. So maybe we'll throw one more State of the Union in there and see how things move forward. But I do have the updated schedule. Slide it back up here. Wednesday, since they moved it, nothing's going on. Thursday is the first practice, but we will get a Mike McCarthy presser at 10:45. So obviously we'll have a first word. Our very first word will be Thursday. I'm sorry, it'll be Friday. We'll talk about that with Patrick Nosey Walker. And then I'll have practice at 11:20, and then the players will be available at 12:45. So Thursday, it all begins. Friday, there's another practice, as well as Saturday and Sunday. So they're going... They usually they take a break. Interesting. So they're going to go Thursday through Sunday with practices, with Monday being the player day off. So we'll have a lot to talk about come Monday. Monday and Tuesday, we'll probably split up those 2 days, reviewing all of the practice notes and whatnot that came out of Oxnard. All right. And if you're going to be down there, make sure you holler at some of the content creators that will be there as well. All right. Yeah, Rockstar. I mean, I got you, Shaq. Any idea why they moved it? That's something I'm going to ask Pat here in a second. Not really sure why. I would imagine more eyeballs for Saturday. Maybe they knew, hey, we're going to get eyeballs at the beginning of camp. I have to look at it cynically like that, because that's what it's all about, the money. Press this button and get up out of here, all right?
Push the goddamn button. Push the goddamn button.
Oh, yeah. Busy as hell, dog. Back tomorrow. We got a countdown type of show, a list type of show tomorrow. Switching up a little bit prior to camp, but make sure y'all tune in. All right? We out of here. Love y'all.